In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, where humanity is besieged by aliens, heretics, and demons, there exists an order of warriors unlike any other. They do not fight for wealth, or glory, or conquest. They fight for faith. When the Imperium trembles, and heresy spreads like wildfire, they come with bolter and flame to cleanse it. They are the brides of the Emperor, the sisters of battle. This is the story of the Adepta Sororitas, the warriors of burning faith. To understand the sisters of battle, we must travel back to the 36th millennium, a dark and chaotic period known as the Age of Apostasy. The Ecclesiarchy, the state church of the Imperium, had fallen under the sway of a tyrant named Gojvanda. He ruled with an iron fist, his madness plunging the galaxy into a bloody civil war. Vandir sought an ultimate bodyguard, an army utterly loyal to him alone. He found them on a remote shrine world called San Lior. There, he discovered an all-female warrior cult known as the Daughters of the Emperor. Fiercely devout and trained in combat, they had isolated themselves from the galaxy's corruption, worshipping the God Emperor in their own pure way. Vandir, a master manipulator, presented himself as the Emperor's chosen voice. He staged a miracle by having his personal guard fire upon him. His refractor field saved him. But to the daughters, it appeared as if the Emperor himself had protected his holy messenger. Convinced of his divinity, they pledged their lives to him, becoming his personal guard, the brides of the Emperor. For a time, they served Vandir faithfully, enforcing his brutal regime. They were his enforcers, his executioners, believing they were carrying out the Emperor's will. However, the truth could not be hidden forever. A joint force of Adeptus, Mechanicus, Space Marines, and custodians, the Emperor's own Praetorian Guard, laid siege to the Imperial Palace on Terra. Still, the brides of the Emperor stood firm, their faith in Vandir unshaken. The turning point came when the Captain General of the Custodes, in a moment of sheer desperation, invoked a rite of parley. He brought Alicia Dominica, the leader of the brides, and her inner circle, deep into the heart of the Imperial Palace, to the very threshold of the Golden Throne. There, in the silent, psychic presence of the comatose Emperor of mankind, their eyes were finally opened. What they saw, what they felt, shattered their illusions. They realized they had been deceived, that Vandir was not a holy man, but a traitorous madman who had corrupted their faith for his own gain. Returning from the throne room, their hearts filled with righteous fury, Alicia Dominica confronted Vandir. He railed at her, calling her a traitor, but she was resolute, with the words, "You have committed the ultimate heresy. Not only have you turned your back on the Emperor, but you have betrayed humanity. You are the arch-heretic." She carried out the Emperor's judgment. One swing of her power sword, and the Age of Apostasy was over. In the aftermath, the High Lords of Terra decreed that the Ecclesiarchy could have no men under arms. It was a law designed to prevent another tyrant like Vandir from raising a private army. But the new Ecclesiarch Sebastian Thor, a brilliant reformer, found a loophole. The decree said nothing about women, and so the brides of the Emperor were reborn. They were formally integrated into the Ecclesiarchy as the Adepta Sororitas, the sisterhood. They became the military wing of the Imperial Church, its sword and shield, ensuring that the faith would never again be so thoroughly corrupted. The Adepta Sororitas are divided into two main convocations. The Orders Militant are the most well-known, the frontline soldiers of the Ecclesiarchy, clad in power armor and wielding the holy trinity of weapons Star Bolter, the Flamer, and the Meltave, march to war under banners of faith. Their battle cries are hymns, their fury a prayer made manifest. They are utterly fearless, seeing death in the Emperor's service as the ultimate vindication of their life. Their faith is not just a belief system. It's a palpable weapon. The most devout among them can channel the Emperor's psychic might, performing miracles on the battlefield. Once close enemy attacks are turned aside, and fallen sisters can even rise again, wreathed in golden light, to strike one final blow against the enemies of mankind. These are the living saints, like Saint Celestine, an immortal warrior who has returned from death time and again to lead the Emperor as faithful to victory. But combat is not their only purpose. The non-militant orders are the backbone of the sisterhood. The Order's hospital are skilled medics and caretakers, running hospitals across the Imperium and tending to the sick and wounded with unmatched compassion. The Order's families are diplomats and advisors, navigating the treacherous politics of the imperial nobility to ensure the Emperor's creed remains influential. And the Order's dialogists are scholars and linguists, preserving ancient texts and translating arcane languages, acting as the memory of the Imperium. To be a sister of battle is to live a life of extreme discipline and sacrifice. From the moment they are inducted as young orphans into the Schola Progenium, their lives are dedicated to prayer, training, and duty. They forsake personal identity, family, and comfort for a single all-consuming purpose: to serve the god. Every moment is a test of faith, every battle a crusade. Their cathedrals are fortresses, their hymns are war songs, and their tools are instruments of purification. Where a space marine is a genetically engineered posthuman, a living weapon of immense physical power, a battle sister is entirely human. Her strength comes not from gene seed or surgical augmentation, but from the unshakable, burning conviction in her heart. This is what makes them so compelling. They face the same horrifying Xenos, the same twisted demons, and the same insidious heretics as the Space Marines, but they do so as mortals armed with little more than power armor and a faith so strong it can literally move mountains and defy death. They are the wrath of the Emperor given form. They are the fire that scours the unclean. They are the hope for humanity in a galaxy determined to tear it apart. When you see their black and red armor marching through the smoke, when you hear their choir of righteous fury, know that the guilty will be punished and the faithful will be protected. They are the Adepta Sororitas, and their faith is their shield, their fury, their sword. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the lore of the Sisters of Battle. Welcome, bike lore masters and seekers of truth, to our channel. Today, we journey into the heart of the Imperium of man, into an age of darkness and rebellion, to uncover the fiery origins of one of its most zealous and iconic factions, the Adepta Sororitas, the Sisters of Battle. Who are these warrior nuns, clad in ceramite armor, wielding bolter and flame? Their story is not just one of faith, but of betrayal, redemption, and a holy fury born from the ashes of a corrupt empire. To understand the sisterhood, we must first travel back to the 36th millennium, to a dark chapter known as the Age of Apostasy. The galaxy was in turmoil. The High Lords of Terra, the very rulers of the Imperium, were mired in paranoia and civil strife. Into this power vacuum stepped a man whose name would become a curse upon the lips of trillions. Gojven, the 321st High Lord of the Administratum. Vandir was a master manipulator, a tyrant who seized control of both the Administratum and the Ecclesiarchy, the official state church of the Imperium. He declared himself both master of the Administratum and Ecclesiarch, wielding absolute temporal and spiritual power. His rule was a reign of terror, a bloody purge that saw entire worlds silenced and countless souls extinguished in the name of his own twisted piety. He was, for all intents and purposes, a madman ruling the galaxy. But every tyrant needs enforcers, and Vandir found his in the most unexpected of places. On the remote shrine world of San Lior, he discovered a small, secluded cult of oath. All female warriors known as the Brides of the Emperor, utterly devoted to the god Impera. They had been isolated from the wider Imperium for centuries. They were fierce, disciplined, and unshakably loyal. Vandir, with his characteristic cunning, saw them not as a threat, but as a perfect tool. He presented himself as the Emperor's chosen voice, his holy prophet. To prove his divine mandate, he had one of his own bodyguards shoot him. The hidden energy shield beneath his robes absorbed the blast, leaving him unharmed. To the isolated brides, this was a miracle. They swore fealty to Vandir on the spot, believing him to be a living saint, and became his personal guard. His holy renamed the Daughters of the Emperor, they enforced his brutal will across the galaxy, their faith tragically weaponized by a heretic. As Vandir's paranoia and cruelty escalated, the Imperium teetered on the brink of complete collapse. The Adepta Sororitas, the Space Marines, along with the Adeptus Mechanicus and other Imperial factions, finally rose up against his tyranny. The battle for Holy Terra itself was a cataclysmic conflict, a second great siege. The imperial palace was a war zone. Yet the daughters of the emperor, blinded by their faith in Vandir, held the outer sanctums with unyielding ferocity. They fought against space marines, against imperial guard, against anyone who dared oppose the man they believed was the emperor's chosen. The stalemate was bloody and absolute. How could they break the faith of these warriors? How could you convince them the man they served was the very evil they were sworn to destroy? The answer came not from a weapon, but from a revelation. A small contingent of the custodian guard, the legendary personal bodyguards of the emperor himself, managed to reach the leaders of the daughters of the emperor. They did not come with blades drawn, but with a simple, profound offer. They would escort their leader, Alicia Dominica, and her chosen bodyguards into the throne room of the imperial palace, into the very presence of the sleeping god emperor of mankind. What happened in that sanctum is a moment shrouded in legend. They knelt before the golden throne, before the silent, psychic majesty of the master of mankind. No one knows what they saw, or what words, if any, were exchanged in that psychic communion. But when Alicia Dominica emerged, the fire in her eyes was not of misguided zeal, but of pure, righteous fury. She had seen the truth. Marching directly to Vandaya's audience chamber, she confronted the tyrant. He railed at her, screaming of her disloyalty, proclaiming his divine right to rule. "I serve the emperor," he shrieked, "and you have been told by the emperor himself that I speak for him. To defy me is to defy him." Dominica's reply has echoed through the millennia, a testament to her newfound, terrible clarity. "You are not the emperor?" she declared, her voice ringing with the authority of absolute truth. "We have seen the emperor, and you are not him. You are a traitor, a heretic, and a charlatan." With a single, decisive act, Alicia Dominica executed the High Lord Vandir, bringing his reign of blood and madness to an end. Her blade not only killed a man, it shattered a cult and ended a civil war. In the wake of Vandir's death, the Imperium began the long, painful process of healing. The ecclesiarchy was reformed. The infamous decree passive was issued, stating that the ecclesiarchy shall have no men under arms. This was meant to prevent another High Lord from raising a private army as Vandir had, but the High Lords of Terra, recognizing the purity of faith and martial skill of the former daughters of the Emperor, found a clever loophole. The decree specified men. It said nothing of women. And so, the daughters of the Emperor were reborn. They were brought under the direct authority of the Adepta Sororitas, the non-militant wing of the ecclesiarchy. They would be the sword and shield of the faith, but they would be answerable to the holy synods, not to a single man. This was the birth of the Order's militant, the holy armies of the Adeptus. Alicia Dominica became the first and most revered of their saints. The sisterhood was divided into numerous orders, each dedicated to serving the Emperor in their own way. The orders, militant, like the Order of Our Martyred Lady and the Order of the Valorous Heart, would take the fight to the heretic, the witch, and the Xenos. They would become the living embodiment of faith and fire, a constant, vigilant presence, ensuring that the Age of Apostasy would never happen again. They are the proof that even in the darkest of times, the light of the Emperor and the fury of his faithful can burn away even the deepest corruption. Their armor is their faith, their weapons are their prayer, and their battlefield is the soul of mankind itself. From the ashes of betrayal, they rose. From a misguided cult, they were forged into a holy army. Every sister of battle, from the youngest novitiate to the most venerable canonis, carries the legacy of Alicia Dominica. In her heart, she remembers the price of blind faith and the power of true revelation. She is the Emperor's wrath made manifest, a beacon of purity in a galaxy of sin, forever marching in his name. And that, my friends, is the incredible story of how the Sisters of Battle came to be. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the lore. What does it mean to live for a purpose greater than yourself? To have a faith so absolute that it becomes the very air you breathe, the ground beneath your feet. Today, we delve into the heart of one of the most compelling factions in the vast, grim darkness of the far future, the Adepta Sororitas, the Sisters of Battle. For them, Faith isn't a choice. It's the very foundation of their existence. Imagine a life where every action, from the simplest prayer to the most ferocious battle, is an act of devotion. This is the reality for the Adepta Sororitas. Their existence is a tapestry woven from threads of sacred ritual, ironclad discipline, and an unwavering commitment to a purpose that transcends reason itself. Their devotion is not a gentle, passive belief. It is a burning, all-consuming fire that fuels their every deed. In the hallowed halls of their convents, long before the first light touches the stained glass windows depicting saints and martyrs, each sister prepares her spirit for the trials of the day. This isn't just a routine. It is a vital centering of the soul, a moment to reaffirm her vows and ready herself for the darkness she is sworn to confront. When a sister of battle takes up her weapon, she is not merely grasping a tool of war, whether it's the iconic bolter, the sacred flamer, or the revered chainsword. Each weapon is a holy relic, a symbol of her solemn duty. Look closer, and you would see them engraved with passages from holy texts, words of loyalty, and the names of fallen heroes. These are not just decorations. They are constant, tangible reminders of their lineage of sacrifice and their sacred charge to protect humanity. To wield such a weapon is to carry the weight of history and the promise of deliverance in your hands. It is an extension of their will, a conduit for their righteous fury. In the eyes of the Adepta Sororitas, the enemy takes many forms. They are the manifest corruptions that seek to tear down the Imperium of man. But there is another, more insidious enemy, one that they fight with equal, if not greater, ferocity. This enemy is the doubt that lurks within the human heart. It is the whisper of despair, the seed of heresy, the temptation of apathy. To the sisters, this internal battle is the true crucible where a soul is tested. Every mission, every campaign, is therefore not just a military objective, but a profound test of their own courage and the purity of their conviction. They fight not only to conquer their foes, but to conquer the very idea of surrender within themselves and inspire those they protect. Let's paint a picture. The air is thick with the smell of ozone and promethium, the silence before battle stretching taut like a drawn bow. In this final, quiet moment, she gently traces an oath inscribed upon her gauntlet. Her lips move, but the words are a whisper meant for her and her faith alone. Let my purpose be pure. Then, with a breath that is both a prayer and a promise, she steps forward. She doesn't move with hate frothing at her lips, but with the calm, resolute certainty of a protector. She is the shield, the sword, the fire, driven by a sacred duty to preserve the last flickering embers of mankind's light in a galaxy drowning in shadow. This singular purpose defines their every interaction. They are not conquerors in the traditional sense. They are guardians. They are the living embodiment of the idea that faith can be a fortress, a weapon, and a beacon of hope all at once. Their orders are structured like religious institutions, with abbesses and canonesses, leading their flock not just in war, but in prayer and study. They establish convents on worlds ravaged by war, bringing order and faith where only chaos reigned. They walk among the common citizenry not as distant demigods, but as stern, yet inspiring, figures of unwavering strength. They show that even in the darkest of times, discipline and belief can forge a path forward. The training of a sister of battle is relentless and all-encompassing. They master every weapon in their arsenal, drill in tactical formations until they move as one cohesive unit, and study ancient texts until the words of their creed are etched into their very souls. It is a process designed to strip away individual weakness and forge a warrior saint, an instrument of divine will. This grueling regimen ensures that when a sister faces the horrors of the galaxy, her faith does not falter, her hand does not tremble, and her resolve does not break. Their role is unique. They are the chamber militant of the Adeptus Ministorum, the Church of the Imperium. This gives them the authority to prosecute wars of faith, to purge heresy wherever it is found, and to stand as the ultimate arbiters of spiritual purity. or an Imperial Guardsman fights for his planet and a Space Marine fights for the Emperor as a distant father figure. A sister of battle fights with the intimate, burning passion of a true believer. Her faith is her commander, her shield, and her most potent weapon. This is often manifested in what can only be described as miracles on the battlefield. To witness the Adepta Sororitas in battle is to witness faith made manifest. So, when you see the iconic image of a sister of battle, her white hair flowing, her armor pristine amidst the filth of war, her eyes burning with righteous fire, understand what you are truly looking at. You are not just seeing a soldier, you are seeing a living prayer, a testament to the power of unwavering belief in a universe that rewards cynicism and despair. You are seeing a life devoted not to personal glory, but to the preservation of a light against an endless night. They are the Adepta Sororitas, and their faith is their fire. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration into the heart and soul of the Sisters of Battle. If you found their story as inspiring and fascinating as I do, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into the rich lore of this universe. Your support means everything and helps us continue to bring these incredible stories to life. Let me know in the comments what you find most compelling about the Adepta Sororitas. Until next time, stay strong and keep the faith. Far more than just the iconic battle sisters we see on the front lines, the Sisterhood is a vast and multifaceted organization, a beacon of devotion in the grim darkness of the far future. Join us as we explore the diverse orders, the daily lives, and the unwavering spirit of the Daughters of the Emperor. Across the sprawling expanse of the Imperium, scattered among hostile stars and forgotten worlds, countless convents echo with the rhythmic chants of prayer and the sharp, disciplined sounds of training. These sanctuaries, from towering Gothic cathedrals on shrine worlds to fortified bastions on war-torn frontiers, are home to the Adepta Sororitas. Each order within this sacred institution carves its own path of service, a unique interpretation of their solemn vow to protect and guide humanity. Their legacy is not written in a single book, but in a million different acts of faith, courage, and sacrifice across 1,000 different war zones and 1,000,000 different worlds. The Adepta Sororitas is often visualized as a monolith of silver-armored warriors, bolters blazing. And while the Orders Militant are indeed the most visible and perhaps most celebrated arm of the Sisterhood, they are but one facet of a much larger, more complex diamond. The structure of the Sororitas is designed for resilience and adaptability, allowing them to serve the Imperium in virtually every capacity imaginable. They are divided into two primary convents. Convent Prioris on Terra and the Convent Sanctorum on Ophelia, 7 which in turn oversee numerous orders, each with its own specific calling. This structure ensures that no matter the threat be it heresy, alien invasion, or the slow decay of societal order, there is an order of the Adepta Sororitas, ready and trained to confront it. Let's first speak of the Orders Militant, the shield of the Emperor. These are the Sisters of Battle, the icons of the orders like the Order of our Martyred Lady, clad in black armor to mourn their fallen Primarch, are known for their righteous fury and vengeful spirit. They march into the thickest fighting, their faith a tangible weapon that turns aside blows and ignites their righteous hatred into holy fire. Then there is the Order of the Valorous Heart, whose stoicism and resilience are legendary. They endure unimaginable hardship, their belief in the Emperor's protection allowing them to hold the line against impossible odds, their silence a testament to their unbreakable will. The Order of the Bloody Rose, by contrast, are masters of the aggressive charge, their movements a deadly dance of chainsword and bolter fire, seeking to honor the Emperor through martial perfection and swift, decisive victory. These are just a few, and each major and minor order militant has its own traditions, combat doctrines, and heroes, forming a rich tapestry of martial prowess dedicated to the defense of humanity. But what happens when the battle is over? When the smoke clears to reveal shattered cities and broken bodies? This is where the Orders Hospitaller come to the fore. These sisters are the healers, the caregivers, the living embodiment of the Emperor's compassion. While a battle sister brings the Emperor's wrath, a hospita brings his mercy. They are trained in advanced medical procedures, capable of mending grievous wounds on the battlefield, often under heavy fire. But their healing extends beyond the physical. They minister to the soul, offering comfort to the dying, counseling the traumatized, and reminding the broken that they are not forgotten. A sister hospitaler's presence in a military hospital or a refugee camp is a source of immense comfort and hope. They work tirelessly, their devotion manifesting not in glorious charges, but in the quiet, painstaking work of rebuilding lives, one patient at a time. They see the divine spark in every human life and will fight with every tool at their disposal to preserve it. Beyond the battlefield and the infirmary, the war for the Imperium's soul is also fought in libraries, archives, and diplomatic chambers. This is the domain of the Orders. In a galaxy-spanning empire where countless dialects and high Gothic tongues exist, communication is a weapon. The Sisters Dialogus are master linguists, translators, and orators. They can decipher ancient texts, negotiate treaties with suspicious planetary governors, and whip a demoralized populace into a fervent crusade with a single, powerful speech. Their work is subtle but vital. They are the keepers of history, painstakingly preserving knowledge that would otherwise be lost to the ravages of time and war. They advise inquisitors, generals, and cardinals. Their deep understanding of language and culture, providing insights that can turn the tide of a conflict without a single shot being fired. They ensure that the Emperor's word, in all its myriad forms, is heard and understood across the galaxy. There are still other paths of service, each as crucial as the last. The Ordes Famulis are embedded within the households of the imperial nobility. They act as advisors, educators, and diplomats, ensuring that the most powerful families in the Imperium remain loyal and pious. Through their guidance, they steer the course of dynasties, subtly weaving the thread of faith into the very fabric of imperial politics. And let us not forget the silent vigil of the Order Sabine, dedicated to journeying into the unknown, accompanying rogue traders and explorator fleets to consecrate new worlds and recover lost relics. So, what is the daily life of a sister like? It is one of extreme discipline, a constant and delicate balance of prayer, study, and martial practice. A sister's day begins before dawn with communal prayers, her voice joining hundreds of others in a chorus of devotion that fortifies the spirit for the trials ahead. This is followed by rigorous physical training. For a battled sister, this means hours in the sparring cages and at the firing range, honing her body into a perfect weapon. For a hospitaler, it might mean simulated surgical procedures and studying anatomy. For a dialogus, it could be hours spent translating a barely legible Xenos text or practicing rhetoric. Their studies are not just tactical or academic, they are deeply theological. Every sister spends a significant portion of her day studying the sacred texts of the Imperial Creed, meditating on the Emperor's divinity and her place in his grand design. This constant spiritual reinforcement is the bedrock of their existence. It is the source of their unshakable faith, the fuel for their miracles, and the shield against the corrupting influence of the warp. But it is not all war and prayer. The sisters serve the Imperium in peace as well. In the quiet moments between conflicts, they are educators, founding and running schools for orphans. They are builders, helping to reconstruct cities torn apart by war, their hands laying bricks as skillfully as they wield bolts. They are a constant, reassuring presence in the lives of ordinary Imperial citizens, a reminder that, even in the darkest of times, there are those who stand watch, who care, and who will never, ever give up. This compassion is not a weakness. It is the very source of their strength. It is why they fight. They do not fight for glory or for conquests. They fight to protect the innocent, to preserve the flickering light of humanity against an encroaching, eternal night. Imagine this scene. The city of Viridian Hive lies in ruins, its spires shattered skeletons against a sky choked with ash. The battle has moved on, leaving behind a wasteland of rubble and echoes. Among the debris, a guardsman lies broken, his leg crushed beneath a fallen girder. He's been calling for help for hours, his voice growing hoarse, his hope fading with the dying light. He is alone, forgotten. Then, a figure emerges from the dust-filled haze. She is clad in soot-stained power armor, the sigil of her order barely visible on her pauldron. A sister of battle, she moves with a purpose that defies the surrounding desolation. The guardsman flinches, expecting the cold finality of a warrior moving on to the next objective. But she stops. She kneels beside him, the servos in her armor whining softly. Her helmet is off, and her face, though streaked with grime, is serene. She places a gaunted hand gently on his shoulder. Her voice is not the harsh cry of a battle leader, but calm and steady, cutting through his pain and fear. "You are not alone," she says. The Emperor protects in that moment. Her words are more powerful than any litany of hate. She isn't just a soldier. She's a protector. She begins to assess his wounds, her movements efficient and sure. In that ruined city, under that poisoned sky, her strength becomes his hope. Her unwavering faith becomes his shield. This is the essence of the Adepta Sororitas, not just the fury of their battle, but the profound depth of their compassion. In the darkest corners of the galaxy, they are the flame that refuses to be extinguished. The Adepta Sororitas represent one of the most compelling aspects of the Imperium. They are a force of absolute faith in a galaxy that has every reason to despair. They are scholars, healers, diplomats, and warriors, united by a single, unshakable purpose. They prove that true strength is found not only in the sword arm, but in the steadfast heart, the helping hand, and the voice that speaks truth in the darkness. They are the daughters of the Emperor, and their vigil is eternal. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the lore of the Adepta Sororitas. What is your favorite order? And what stories of their faith and fury inspire you the most? Let us know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more content from the 41st millennium. Until next time, may the Emperor protect. Have you ever heard whispers of miracles on the most brutal battlefields? Tales that defy all logic, all reason, all the cold, hard laws of physics. Today, we're diving deep into the heart of the galaxy's most potent, and perhaps most misunderstood, weapon, faith. Not just belief, but a force so powerful it can bend reality itself. Imagine this. A storm of gunfire, shells casing the ground like brass rain. A soldier stands firm, their bolter roaring, spitting death without pause. The counter on their ammo feed reads 0, has read 0 for minutes, yet the weapon never falls silent. How? In the heat of battle, their belief is so absolute, their purpose so righteous, that the universe itself conspires to keep their weapon firing. This isn't a malfunction, it's a miracle. This is faith made manifest. We've all heard the stories, the legends passed down through millennia, the tales of flames that lick at the armor of the faithful but refuse to burn them, recognizing the purity within and turning instead upon their enemies. These aren't just allegories. They are documented accounts from war zones across 1 million worlds. A conflagration that should have incinerated an entire squad instead. Parts like a curtain, revealing the righteous standing unscathed, their eyes glowing with holy conviction. It's the kind of event that turns skeptics into believers in a single, terrifying instant. This is the core concept of faith as a weapon. It's the idea that belief, when honed to a razor's edge, and held with unwavering conviction by millions, can generate a psychic field, a tangible energy that interacts with the material world. It's the ultimate defense and the most devastating offense. A shield forged from devotion can turn aside a blade that could slice through tank armor. A prayer whispered with enough fervor can become a concussive blast, throwing enemies back as if struck by an invisible titan. This power isn't easily wielded. It demands absolute, unshakable certainty. The slightest doubt can cause it to flicker and die. It requires a lifetime of discipline, of prayer, of ritual, all designed to focus the mind and soul into a single point of incandescent belief. It's why organizations dedicated to this power are so rigid, so dogmatic. Their strict codes aren't just for control. They are the very crucible in which this incredible power is forged. Think of the martyrs, not as tragic figures, but as living beacons. There are countless accounts of holy warriors, mortally wounded, who in their final moments did not simply die. Instead, they erupted in a column of pure white-hot light. This light wasn't just symbolic. It was a physical phenomenon. It seared the flesh of heretics, blinded the enemy, and, most importantly, filled the hearts of their comrades with renewed zeal. In their sacrifice, they became a guide, a rallying point that turned the tide of battle. Their death was not an end, but a transfiguration into a weapon of ultimate victory. Let's put ourselves in that moment. Picture a crumbling cathedral wall, the only bastion left against a tide of howling heretics. A single sister of battle stands on the breach. Her comrades have fallen. Her armor, once gleaming silver, is now blackened and scorched, glowing with residual heat from countless plasma impacts. Smoke pours from the joints, and the air around us shimmers. By all accounts, she should be dead, cooked alive inside her own power armor. But she is not. She raises her bolter, the barrel melted and warped, yet it fires. She chants her litany, her voice clear and strong over the din of war, and with every verse, the enemy's advance falters. They see not a lone soldier, but an avenging angel wreathed in holy fire. The flames that should be consuming her seem instead to emanate from her, a halo of righteous fury. Her faith is an impenetrable shield, her prayer a shockwave. She doesn't just hold the line, she becomes the line. She is the living embodiment of the idea that as long as even one faithful soul stands, hope is not lost, and victory is still possible. This scene, repeated in countless variations across the galaxy, is the ultimate testament to the power of belief. It's a force that doesn't just inspire armies, it actively fights alongside them. It turns ordinary men and women into legends, and impossible last stands into glorious triumphs. It's a reminder that in a universe filled with horrors, the strongest weapon might not be the one you carry in your hands, but the conviction you hold in your heart. This is why the faithful are so feared, not just for their zealotry, but for the very real, tangible power that their collective belief can unleash upon the galaxy. They're a constant, terrifying reminder that the rules of reality are more suggestions than laws, and that with enough faith, anything is possible. So, the next time you read a battle report and see an outcome that seems impossible, remember these stories. Remember the bolters that never run dry, the flames that do no harm, and the lone warriors who hold back the darkness with nothing but the fire of their soul. It's a fascinating and terrifying aspect of this universe we love to explore. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. If you enjoyed this, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing, and ringing the bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the lore. Let me know in the comments what other tales of faith you find most inspiring. Until next time, stay curious and stay faithful. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we journey into the heart of the 41st millennium, an age defined by unending war, unimaginable horrors, and the slow, grinding decay of a once great galactic empire. In this age of eternal darkness, where hope is a currency rarer than peace, one force stands as a blazing testament to unwavering faith. They are the shield of the devout, the hammer of the heretic, and the living embodiment of the Imperial creed. Today, we explore the sacred and tragic story of the Adepta Sororitas, the Sisters of Battle. To understand the Sisters, you must first understand the Imperium of man and its state religion, the Imperial cult. For 10,000 years, humanity has worshipped the Emperor of mankind as a god. This faith is governed by a vast and powerful organization known as the Ecclesiarchy, or the Adept. It is the Ecclesiarchy that preaches the divinity of the Emperor, that condemns the mutant, the alien, and the heretic, and that guides the spiritual lives of trillions of souls across 1,000,000 worlds. But faith, in the grim darkness of the far future, is not merely about prayer and scripture. It is a weapon, and every weapon needs a hand to wield it. Following a galaxy-spanning civil war known as the Age of Apostasy, a decree was passed. The Ecclesiarchy shall maintain no men under arms. It was a law designed to prevent the Church from ever again raising armies to challenge the authority of the High Lords of Terra. But the Ministorum, ever cunning, found a loophole. The decree said nothing of women under arms. And so, the Adepta Sororitas were born. They became the military wing of the Ecclesiarchy, its holy warriors, its sworn defenders. They are not merely soldiers. They are warrior nuns, orphans raised from birth in the Schola Progenium, indoctrinated in the art of war and the catechisms of the imperial faith. Their entire existence is a paradox of pious devotion and brutal warfare. A sister of battle's life is one of constant prayer, self-flagellation, and absolute denial of self, punctuated by moments of extreme, righteous violence. They are trained to wield the holy trinity of imperial weaponry: the bolter for the emperor's fury, the flamer for his cleansing fire, and the melta for his burning wrath. They march to war clad in ceramite, power armor, singing battle hymns. As bolter shells ricochet harmlessly from their sanctified plate, they are a sight to behold, a walking, fighting cathedral of faith and fire. The primary role of the sisters is to enforce the will of the ecclesiarchy. Where the Inquisition hunts the hidden threat, the Sisters of Battle prosecute the open war of faith. They are the guardians of the Imperium's soul. You will find them guarding the holiest of shrine worlds, their basilicas echoing with the constant hum of prayer and the cleaning of weapons. They escort high-ranking cardinals through treacherous war zones, their faith an impenetrable shield, and most often they are deployed to worlds teetering on the brink of heresy. When a planetary governor renounces the emperor, when a chaos cult rises from the under, or when alien corruption seeps into the populace, it is the sisters who are sent to deliver the emperor's judgment. Their wars are endless and fought on countless fronts. They stand against the tides of chaos, their faith a bulwark against the whispers of demons and the temptations of the warp. They have faced the greater demons of the ruinous powers and banished them with prayer and promethium. They have purged worlds overrun by genestealer cults, seeing the alien taint not just as a biological threat, but as a spiritual blasphemy. They have fought the enigmatic Aldari, the brutal orcs, and the soulless Necrons, viewing every alien life form as an affront to the Emperor's divine mandate for humanity to rule the stars. For the sisters, every battle is a crusade, every enemy a heretic deserving only of purification by fire. This brings us to the profound tragedy of the Adepta Sororitas. Their devotion is so absolute, so pure, that it transcends reason and borders on madness. They see the Emperor's hand in everything. A weapon jam is a test of faith. A miraculous recovery is a divine blessing. They are zealots, in the truest sense of the word, incapable of compromise or doubt. This unshakable faith is their greatest strength, allowing them to perform feats of impossible heroism, but it is also their greatest weakness. They are often unyielding and dogmatic, unable to see shades of gray in a galaxy that is almost entirely colored by them. They have condemned loyal imperial servants for minor doctrinal disagreements and have launched bloody purges based on suspicion alone. Their righteousness is a blinding light, and in its glare, nuance and mercy are often burned away. They are martyrs in waiting, every single one of them. They do not expect to survive their service. They pray for a glorious death in the name of the Emperor. Yet, within this tragedy lies an undeniable beauty. In a galaxy filled with cynicism, despair, and selfish ambition, the Sisters of Battle are genuine. Their faith is real. Their sacrifice is selfless. They are a flicker of pure, untainted light in an ocean of overwhelming darkness. When a Sister of Battle stands her ground against a tide of horrors, chanting her litanies as her bolter roars, she is not just a soldier. She is a symbol. She is proof that even in the 41st millennium, faith can move mountains, and that the human spirit, when forged in the fires of devotion, can stand against any darkness. They are the living saints who walk among mortals, the miracles made manifest, the beautiful, terrible fury of the God Emperor of mankind. They are the tragic, glorious, and utterly essential soul of the Imperium. Thank you so much for joining me on this dive into the lore of the Adepta Sororitas. Their story is one of the most compelling in all of Warhammer 40,000. A perfect blend of high-octane action and deep, philosophical tragedy. What are your favorite moments or characters from the Sisters of Battle? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more journeys into the grim darkness of the far future. Until next time, may the Emperor protect. Slightly melancholic, yet heroic orchestral music begins, setting a somber but reverent tone. Hello, and welcome back to Lore Uncovered. Today, we turn our gaze from the blood-soaked battlefields and the grand halls of power, up to the often overlooked heavens of the 41st millennium. We're here to talk about the pilots, the aces, the unsung heroes of the void, and Sky the Flyboys of the Imperium. In a galaxy defined by demigods in ceramite armor and god machines that level cities, it's easy to forget the human element. The ordinary souls tasked with extraordinary duties, the pilots of the Aeronautica Imperialis, the Astra Militarum, and the Imperial Navy are not post-human warriors. They don't possess the genetic gifts of a space marine or the nigh immortality of a custodian. They are flesh and blood. They are men and women who strap themselves into metal coffins and hurl themselves into the most hostile skies imaginable. Imagine the cockpit of a Thunderbolt fighter, the canopy rattling as flak bursts around you like a deadly fireworks display. Below, a green tide of orcs surges across the plains, their crude anti-air guns spitting streams of lead into the air. Your mission: to break their advance, to deliver your payload of bombs onto a key strategic target, knowing that a single lucky shot could turn your aircraft into a plummeting fireball. There's no glorious last stand, no final defiant justa sudden violent end, thousands of feet above the ground, witnessed only by the uncaring sky. This is the daily reality for countless pilots. They are the first line of defense, and often the last hope for besieged ground troops. Think of the Valkyrie transport pilots, whose job is arguably even more terrifying. They aren't dogfighting aces, they are bus drivers in a hurricane of laser fire. Their mission is to fly low and slow, directly into the hottest landing zones, to deliver guardsmen into the heart of the meat grinder. Every moment they linger is another chance for a missile to find their engine, for a plasma blast to melt through their fuselage. They carry the weight of dozens of lives in their hands, their own life being the least of their concerns. Their bravery isn't measured in kill counts, but in the number of successful drops, in the squads who made it to the ground to fight another day because their pilot held steady through the storm. And what about the void? The pilots of the Imperial Navy's Fury interceptors and Starhawk bombers, launched from the cavernous bays of void ships into the terrifying emptiness of space. Their battles are silent, balletic dances of death amidst asteroid fields and nebula clouds. They face alien craft of unimaginable speed and lethality, Xenos pilots with senses far beyond human limits. They fight in three-dimensional arenas where up and down are meaningless concepts, and the only thing separating them from instantaneous, frozen death is a few inches of plasteel and a prayer to the Emperor. Many never return to the warmth and light of their carrier ship, their final moments spent drifting in a silent, shattered cockpit, watching their home vessel shrink to a distant star. The Imperium builds grand statues to its primarchs and its victorious generals. It carves the names of Space Marine heroes onto millennia-old honor rolls. But who remembers the name of the Marauder bomber pilot who broke the siege of who sings sagas of the Valkyrie crew that extracted the last Cadian survivors from a doomed city? Their names are lost, recorded only on some forgotten data slate in the dusty archives of the Administratum, if at all. This is the quiet tragedy and the profound heroism of the Imperial pilot. They are ordinary souls who rise above the storms, carrying the weight of countless lives with every flight. They are not immortal. They are not giants. Their courage isn't shouted from the pulpits. It's a quiet resolve, a professional calm in the face of certain death. It's the steady hand on the flight stick as the world erupts in fire around them. They are the unseen guardians, the swift retribution, the lifeline from above. From the toxic skies of a death world to the cold, unforgiving void between stars, they fly. They fight, and they fall in numbers that would break lesser organizations, their machines spiraling down in flames, their names forgotten by the very galaxy they die to protect. But their legacy endures. It endures in every dawn that breaks across the stars, in every supply drop that reaches a starving outpost, in every surgical strike that turns the tide of a desperate battle. Even when the galaxy forgets them, their spirit continues to soar, a testament to the indomitable will of humanity to conquer the skies, no matter the cost. They are watched over by the eternal light of the Emperor, their quiet courage fading silently into the endless sky. Their sacrifice reminds us that heroism in the 41st millennium isn't just about superhuman strength. It's about the ordinary person, the regular human, who looks at impossible odds and says, "For the Emperor," as they push the throttle forward, one last time. Thank you for joining us on this look into the lives of the Imperium's flyboys. If you found this tribute meaningful, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. It truly helps us bring more of the Warhammer 40,000 universe to light. Next time, we leave the heroic skies and return to the shadows to uncover the twisted life of the Dark Eldar. You won't want to miss it. Until then, fly safe.